Hello, students, and let us discuss the poem A Tiger in the Zoo, written by Leslie. It is a very practical poem. You just have to imagine two scenarios. The first one, as the title suggests, that is a tiger in the zoo, and one more, that is you have to imagine a tiger who is there in its natural habitat. If we talk about the theme of the poem contrasts the majestic life of a tiger in its natural habitat, that is a jungle, of course, with its helpless condition in a zoo. Why helpless? Because there the tiger is not able to practice its natural instincts. Roaming in the jungle, hunting the animals, these traits are not being practiced by a tiger in the zoo. That's why it explores the themes of freedom versus captivity, strength suppressed by confinement. Why? What is confinement? Being bounded. If whenever something or someone is bounded, they are not able to practice or showcase their whole strength. And lastly, human cruelty and indifference. We humans have become so cold hearted, so cold blooded that we don't feel the emotions of the animals. How we are confining them just for our own sake. If we talk about the first stanza of the poem, here in the poem you are going to see there is a shift. The first stanza talks about a tiger who is there in the cage. And the next stanza and the third stanza talks about the tiger who is there in its natural habitat, that is the original place of the tiger. If we talk about the first stanza tells us that how the tiger is only able to take a few steps in that cage, and his pads, the food, have become so soft, just like a velvet, because he is not running in the jungle. He is not there on the soil, but he is there in the cage. There is an oxymoron being used here, that is quiet rage. Rage means the being angry. Why quiet? Because he cannot express his rage there in the jungle. He is being confined. He is bounded. He is not able to practice his own natural instincts. The next one, the poet tries to tell us that what actually a tiger should be doing. He tells us that a tiger should actually be there out in the jungle, hiding in the shadow, in the long grass, waiting for a healthy deer to pass near the water hole. And that is how a tiger should behave. A tiger will be hiding in the long grass near the water, and when the deer, a healthy deer, will come near the water body to drink the water, the tiger is going to hunt. The tiger is going to hunt the prey, and that is what a tiger is actually meant to do. But here in the first stanza we saw that the tiger is bounded there in the jungle. In the third stanza, again we see that a tiger is there in the jungle. He says he should be around houses at the jungle's edge, bearing his wild fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. We all know tiger and lion, they are the most dangerous animals in the jungle. And what is being told to us here? Another natural instinct of a tiger. The poet says that the tiger should be there in the jungle, and he will be roaming near to the edges of the jungle and terrorizing the villagers. Why terrorizing? He will be terrorizing them with his claws, nails and everything, so that the humans, they do not enter the jungle, and they do not hunt the animals who are there in the jungle. The tiger will be protecting the jungle. This is yet another natural instinct of the tiger. So what do we see here? From the very starting, we see a tiger who is there bounded, confined in a cage, and then we see a tiger who is there out in the jungle, hiding in the long grass near the water, so that he can hunt the healthy deer. Also, the tiger will be roaming near the jungle, terrorizing the villagers who live near to the jungle, so that they do not disturb the forest, so that they do not enter the forest and hunt the other animals. The tiger is able to protect the jungle. And then we see the shift from the tiger in the jungle to the tiger in the zoo. The poet says, but he is locked in a concrete cell, the cell of the zoo. His strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Whenever you visit a zoo, you can clearly see that the animals there are not at all interested to look at the visitors or to entertain them, mostly, majorly. Why? Because they are already bounded, and now they might be only cursing their fate, that how small their life has become. Lastly, we see he hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So during the day, the tiger is being disturbed by the visitors. Then during the night as well, the tiger is not let free. The tiger is disturbed by the patrolling cars, right? The caretakers of the zoo. And at last we see the helplessness of the tiger there. He is there in the cage looking at the stars, and he is just imagining, he is just thinking that one day he'll be out there in the jungle and will be doing everything that he is ought to do. Understood? So the shift you need to focus on, that is a tiger who is there in the jungle and a tiger who is there in the cage. There in the cage, his strength is bounded. Similarly, beta, have an example of a plant. If the pot is too small, the plant won't be able to grow its roots, right? And they will be bounded. Hence, the growth will be bounded. If we humans also bound ourselves to different confinements, we won't be able to practice our own strengths. We need to learn here for the perspective of both the animals and for us as well. For animals, of course, it is very wrong that we are keeping the animals in the zoo. We should not do that. They should be allowed to follow their own natural instincts. Similarly, we also have to understand and learn that we cannot bound ourselves, and if we confine ourselves, our growth will be confined. We won't be able to practice our natural instincts, our skills, our gems that God has given to us. Fine. Let us see the summary of the poem very quickly now. The poem describes a tiger that should be roaming freely in the wild but is trapped in a zoo's cage. Despite its strength and grace, the tiger is powerless behind bars. In the first stanza as well as in the last stanza also, the poet has mentioned brilliant eyes, clear strips, telling us that the tiger is not old, the tiger is not sick, the tiger is very young and active. The poem reflects the pain and frustration of the animal, urging readers to think about the consequences of captivity. It is very important point, and it has to be understood by everybody that if we confine the animals such as tigers, they are being taken away from their natural instincts. They are being confined by us. We cannot become so indifferent, so selfish that we confine such animals in the zoo. If we talk about the message of the poem, the poet conveys a strong message against imprisoning wild animals. Through the caged tiger, he evokes sympathy for animals, promotes animal rights, asks us to reflect on the importance of freedom. The stanzas, the third and the fourth stanza, which are being presented in front of us, they clearly tell us that how the tiger should actually behave. Understood? Few discussion questions that you need to have in mind is, the first one, how does the poet contrast the tiger's life in the wild with that in the zoo? Right? He is confined. He is able to take only few steps. He is being disturbed by the visitors during the day and by the patrolling cars during the night. He is staring at the stars, thinking of getting out of the cage one day. But actually, he should be out there in the jungle, hiding in the long grass near the water, so that when the healthy deer pass, he can hunt it. He can terrify the villagers who are living near to the forest, so that they do not destroy the forest, so that they do not enter the forest and hunt the animals of the forest. This is the natural instinct of the tiger, and this is actually what the tiger should be doing. Got it? Second one we see here, what emotions does the poem evoke in the reader? The emotions of sympathy in the message we have seen. We cannot become so indifferent. We should have kindness. We should care about the wild animals instead of keeping them in the zoo. What is your opinion on keeping wild animals in captivity? This is a moral based question. You have to answer it in long answer type, at least in 150 to 200 words, wherein you have to mention every aspect, how the animals are treated in the zoo and how their natural instincts are being taken away from them. Also, you need to focus on what they actually should be doing, as the idea is there in the poem itself. Lastly, identify and explain the poetic devices used in the poem. Especially, you have to take care of oxymoron here. Of course, the simile, metaphor, and all the literary devices, the poetic devices, we'll be making a separate video on that so that we can understand them through the form of extract based questions, as it becomes easy for you to get the things all together when we talk about poetic devices. So that's it about the poem. Please keep in mind, read it very properly, and if you have any doubt, please mention your comments